Hey, this is VoyMonk here, a voice, a moment, and that is enough. In this vlog, I'm basically going into what I'm feeling, turning 47, getting older, being a late Gen Xer, being raised in the analog world and feeling like I'm swimming in a digital one. And I've noticed it's getting harder to find shows I actually want to watch. I don't know how many people feel kind of the same way, regardless of whether or not they're a Gen Xer or not. I scroll and I sample and I give things maybe 5-10 minutes, but most of it just doesn't land. And some people might say, well, you got to give it a little bit more time. But as you're getting older, you find that can be very contrite. I scroll and I sample, as I said before. I give things between 5 and 10 minutes, and sometimes I just miss the old days, not just because they were better, but because they were clear, at least for me. Owning a VHS tape meant something back then. Regardless to how you did it, there was intention in that. Even bad movies felt like they mattered more just because you chose them. I had an uncle who actually filled his entire house full of VHS tapes. And I said to myself, I don't think I ever want to do something like that. There were movies, shows, stuff he had recorded off TV, of course. Back then, I thought it was a hassle. And again, I told myself, I'm never going to do that. Over the decades, I kept trying to streamline. I didn't want walls filled with tapes. So, of course, DVDs seemed better when they came about. I mean, there was a new technology. It was better. It was cleaner. It was faster. And then came the mini DVDs. Oh, the promise that was never fulfilled. Now, so compact, so clean, so completely abandoned. Unless you work for a studio or TV station or something like that. Now we've got streaming. In theory, it's better, no clutter, no fuss, but when I want to watch or rewatch my favorite Gen X shows, it's like a scavenger hunt, right? First, you have to find the title, and then the service, and then who has the license this year. Even if I want to buy it, there's no guarantee it'll stay there. It might get updated, it might get removed. Just not something that you necessarily had to contend with when you owned your own copy. Physical media wasn't perfect. Tapes wore out, of course, DVDs scratched, but at least it was mine. And the irony, we'd build these beautiful collections, keep everything fresh and alphabetized, only to drive by a Blockbuster and rent one of the movies we didn't own. And still, we never watched it again after we bought it. So I guess the more things change, the more they kind of stay the same. But if you're like me, maybe you kind of understand where I'm coming from in terms of having a hard time finding things to watch. So I kind of could maybe pitch it to you if you're listening and ask, what is your experience right now in terms of where you're at? As far as your physical media versus saving versus building a huge storage space. And I guess there's, of course, you can buy a drive and collect everything, but I'm kind of wondering where maybe some of my Gen Xers might actually be on this. Anyways, that's going to do it for this vlog. Until my next vlog, take care.